Who are the front runners for World Player of the Year? Once November is done, then we will have the World Cup draw, but also the World Rugby Awards, where a dream team will be selected, a best 15 of the year, the breakthrough player of the year, and the World Player of the Year, a very, very coveted accolade. And I just thought it was really interesting, seeing as some of the contenders are going to be up against each other over the coming weeks. Let's have a look right now at the start of November, who the contenders are, just as an extra little subplot when we look at these matchups in the November tests. So let me know your thoughts. Now, it's almost impossible that we will agree. It's also almost impossible that when I come up with a long list of names, there will not be someone that I've missed off that you think deserves some flowers. So let me know your thoughts in the chat down below. Give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you appreciate the content on the channel. And I'll tell you what I'll do first. Let me just tick off the breakthrough player of the year, because I think this one is fairly simple, at least to arrive at the nominees. Now, what they've done in the last few years is have 4 nominees with 1 winner. And this breakthrough award is for a player who makes their international debut in 2025. So I think that means that outside of the possibility of winning it is Oscar Jegu of France. He got 1 cap in 2024. This is the one downside to France's development squads. They quite often give players an international cap before they would actually get their international cap, and therefore Oscar Jegu, he only had 1 cap last year, so he was never going to win breakthrough player. He's become a proper part of this French squad, and really got his first chance on their development tour last July. Absolutely brilliant player. But I think him, and in particular, even more so, Michael Guillard, who was a starter through the Six Nations, and I think is the most impactful young player to have come onto the scene in World Rugby this year. However, he did make his test debut. He played a test last year. So I think he's ineligible. Otherwise, he would be my winner. But I don't think he can get the award under the rules. But there you go. So the contenders, I think, will be Leroy Carter, who's taken to international rugby like a duck to water, racking up the tries in the Rugby Championship, scoring on debut, and then 3 in his first 3 games, and looks to be part of Scott Robertson's team looking forward to 2027, and gives them elite pace, a real bundle of energy, explosive runner. So Leroy Carter, I think, will be a nominee. Fabian Holland, I think, will be a nominee. And again, you lose Sam Whitelock, you lose Brodie Retallick, generational talents in the second row position, and you're looking a bit thin on the ground. In comes Fabian Holland, all 2 metres of him. The Dutchman has become a key part of New Zealand's team moving forward. And he looks, even at this early stage in his career, like this guy is going to go on and get 100 caps, like those 2 guys that he is replacing in the squad did. So definitely Fabian Holland will be nominated. Ethan Hooker would be a nomination for me. Looks to be a core part of an incredibly talented box side. And the fact that you're in the mix and even being talked about in terms of selection with the likes of Kirtley Arendse, Cheslin Colby, and you're nudging amazing players like Makazole Mapimpi down the pecking order, then you are a high-quality player. And whether it's in the centre or whether it's on the wing, Ethan Hooker is a really important part of this box squad. He will get a nomination, deserves it as well. And finally, Henry Pollock. I don't understand the hate this guy gets. I think we should enjoy someone who clearly enjoys their rugby, and I put him sort of in a camp with Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu as someone who just absolutely enjoys playing the game and has confidence in their own ability, and I love that confidence. And Henry Pollock, when he scored against Australia at the weekend, he had 3 international tries in like half an hour of rugby. Something ridiculous. And he's only played 2 test matches in 2025. He came off the bench against Wales and he came off the bench against Australia. So on the face of it, you might think, well, he doesn't deserve to get nominated. We'll see what happens in the rest of this November test. I even think off the back of a small amount of rugby, I think I would. I think those would be my 4 nominees. And I think the winner, if I had to select it now, obviously let's see how it plays out over November, because anything can happen. But I would put, if I was a betting man, then I would put my money on Fabian Holland winning World Breakthrough Player of the Year. And that would be a deserved accolade for him. And man of the match against Ireland, he He's already started November like he's going to be doing a great job for his country and possibly getting that individual accolade as well. Some really, really good players to have come into the international arena in 2025. Now the big one, World Player of the Year. I mean, rugby is a team game ultimately, and whoever wins the World Player of the Year, the first thing they will say is they couldn't have done it without their teammates. They operate as in a team environment. Nevertheless, let's celebrate the individuals that have had great 2025s. I've got a long list, and then I will pick who I would select if I was picking it right now. And on my long list, in no particular order Dan Sheehan, who has had an amazing 2025. I mean, just look at the stats. He scored 5 tries in the Six Nations, and he started 2 of those games on the bench. And by the way, that first game against England in Dublin, where Dan Sheehan was on the bench, he came on after 50 minutes, and surprise, surprise, Ireland took the game away from England in the last half hour of the game, with Dan Sheehan scoring a try as well. He showed his class. He was captain of Ireland in Caelan Doris's stead when Doris was out. He started all 3 test matches for the British and Irish Lions and scored 2 tries in that series as well. So what's that? 7 tries in Six Nations and Lions series combined. 27 years of age, in an absolutely stacked field with Malcolm Marx and Piato Malvaca and Julian Montoya. He stands alone as the best hooker in the world and one of the best players. So I think right now, Dan Sheehan has an incredibly good chance of getting nominated. Tadhg Beirne, I mean, red card rescinded after that game against New Zealand. Finally, common sense prevailed in the end. But I really hope that, because that was one of 2 massive matches for Ireland in this November series, the other one against South Africa. And, Tadhg Beirne had that game ripped away from him. And that's bad for the team, and Tadhg Beirne will have been disappointed from an Irish perspective. But on an individual perspective, he's 33 years of age. He's been such an absolute warrior. That could cost him a nomination for World Player of the Year, which is something that many, many years from now, his children, grandchildren would be incredibly proud of. So I really hope that doesn't cost him. As for the Lions series, because he was amazing for Ireland in the Six Nations, standard, but in a Lions series, he was in the team of the tournament for the Six Nations. He was the player of the series for the British and Irish Lions. You cannot do much more than that. Tadhg Beirne is going to be close to a nomination. Louis Bielbiere, Six Nations player of the tournament with a ridiculous 8 tries. In the last year, he has played in 11 test matches for France and scored 12 tries. He is unplayable at times on the wing. And at only 22 has the world at his feet. That game against South Africa at the weekend is going to be huge, and if he manages to deliver against the world champions, not only a nomination, but on that alone, if he does well this weekend, he could have. I mean, who knows? He could wrap up winning World Player of the Year, and it wouldn't be undeserved if he does. Louis Bielbiere is a rare and very, very special talent, and like I say, at just 22 years of age, we have some guys in rugby right now. The next generation, guys like Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu, Louis Bielbiere. Seems like the longer the name, the better the player. He's been absolutely amazing. I do just want to give a shout for Antoine Dupont. The way he played in the Six Nations in that first 3.5 games before getting injured was sensational. His play was mind-blowing. His stats were off the charts. And he's so much more than a scrum half. In fact, he might not actually be the best scrum half in the world, but he might be the best rugby player in the world. And if he'd not got injured and had carried on with that sort of form, and if he'd been playing in the big matches this November, I think he might have had a chance at winning again. He won it in, 2020... 2021 or 2022. He won it in 2022. Or 21. He would have won it in 2020 had they had the award. He was just in ridiculous form, but they didn't hold them that year. Anyway, and he would have been in with a shout. But so I just wanted to give him a mention. And I also, for the same reason, want to give Tom Wright a mention because injury might cost him a nomination. And the way he played in the Lions series was absolutely wild. And then he was such an instrumental figure in probably the performance of the year, which was Australia away in Ellis Park against South Africa. I was there for that game, and Tom Wright was incredible. Again, I think injury is going to cost him any chance he had of getting a nomination. So I just wanted to give Dupont and Tom Wright a mention. I thought they deserved it. Fraser McWright would be one potential contender for a nomination for Australia. Relentless and highly consistent, and he's always there. And even when Australia aren't playing well, Fraser McWright does play well. And then when they do manage to pull off some of those really important wins, this guy's at the heart of it. To South Africa, and Peter Steph-Totoy, the current holder, the two-time champion, back-to-back rugby championship champion, back-to-back World Cup champion, back-to-back, not back-to-back, but two-time player of the year. But he could be back-to-back World Player of the Year, and that would make it a hat-trick for him. He is quite simply the best forward that I have ever watched in the flesh, and I've seen Peter Steph-Totoy a number of times. I've seen him in World Cup finals and semi-finals and World Cup group games. I saw him against Argentina in the Rugby Championship. I've seen him out in South Africa. I've seen him in Europe. Wherever he plays, he's an absolute colossus, a god of rugby. And I would not bet against the hat-trick, particularly as there are massive games against very, very competitive opponents in these November tests. And Peter Steph-Totoy, if, barring an injury, he will play 80 minutes against France, 80 minutes against Ireland. And if South Africa manage to win those two games, this guy will have played a massive role in it. Ox Nche. Now, if you go back to about July last year, it was when I was out in South Africa, I started a campaign for Ox Nche to be the first prop ever to be nominated for World Player of the Year. I think I was the first person to get on the bandwagon and point out that a prop had never even been nominated and that should change. Last year was the year that should have happened. Ox Nche's performances this year have been really good. The injury means he's going to miss November, and I think that could cost him his chance this year. If he does get a nomination this year, I would say it's probably World Rugby saying we really made a mistake last year and he should have been nominated. So it may well be a little bit, and they do this with the Oscars sometimes. Someone, an actor does a brilliant job, should have won it, and then people say, why didn't they win it for that one? And then they win it with their next film, even if the next film's not as good. Ox Nche has been amazing this year. Probably not. I mean, we're talking there and there, paper thin. There might be other players that maybe have played slightly better in 2025, and he's going to miss November, so that may cost him. But what an absolute player! What a baller! And a guy who has such an influence of a part of the game which World Rugby seem to be trying to minimise. And this guy just makes me love scrummaging even more. And again, as I keep saying, if you like attacking rugby, you need the scrum to be a core part of the game, because that's one of the few times in a rugby match where 16 players are together in the same part on a field, and that gives the space for Louis Bielbiere and Cheslin Colby and Tommy Freeman and all these other wild attacking talents. And the third South African, I would just say, potentially to get nominated and make a late charge for a World Player of the Year nomination, Sasha Feinberg Ngomazulu. 6 starts for the Boks after Japan. We wait and see what the selection will be for France and for Ireland. The performance in Durban, a record-breaking performance, more points than any South African ever. One of the best individual performances I've ever seen. And Sasha FM, my favourite radio station, I think he's so much more than a wild talent. I get a bit annoyed by this with, as I've mentioned before, with Finn Russell. People talking about Finn Russell being a maverick. No, Finn Russell is an amazing all-round rugby player. And against Japan at the weekend, I wasn't able to watch the game live, but I've caught up with it since because of the silly way that they schedule the matches at the weekend just gone. It was an all-round performance. Sasha Feinberg Ngomazulu, yes, is an incredible athlete. What a turn of pace, an eye for a gap. Wild athleticism, but just a proper rugby player. He can put boot to ball and tactically manage a game and guide his team around the pitch, which is what any fly half that wants to win a World Cup needs to do. And this guy's got it. And if he goes and starts against France, starts against Ireland and plays really well in those games, I think there's an outside chance that there is a late charge for a nomination for World Player of the Year. Pablo Matera. In a really strong Argentine back row where they're actually able to rotate quite a lot, this guy has stood out in 2025. And you notice him when he's not there, just going around, rattling attackers, carrying like his life depended on it. A talisman for Argentina. Maybe Argentina's greatest player. That's a debate to be had, but he's been one of the best players of 2025. As has Ardie Savia, every minute of every game for New Zealand tells you everything that you need to know about how important this guy is for his country. That one of the most iconic moments of the year was "This is my house" after the Eden Park win, where Ardie Savia got that incredible turnover in the closing stages of a game. Just has big moments in matches and a very special player. To England now, Maro Itoje, Lions captain, series winner. Six Nations, he was huge. He's back to his best form lately, showed that again at the weekend, and if he has a big November, outside shot of a nomination. Tommy Freeman, 5 tries in 5 Six Nations games. He made 3 British and Irish test starts for the Lions, and when there was rotation in the back 3, it was not Tommy Freeman, it was James Lowe that got nudged out, and Tommy Freeman kept his spot. I don't think the Lions series went quite as well for Tommy Freeman as the Six Nations with England, but if the November tests continue going well for England, Tommy Freeman, he's got a chance, as has Tom Curry. What a warrior. The fact he keeps coming back, people keep writing him off, and he keeps coming back and producing world-class performances. And you noticed at the weekend when those guys, those British and Irish Lions came off the bench for England, what a massive impact they had. Tom Curry literally had a massive impact. There was one tackle, was it on Tain Edmed? I can't remember what it was. It looked like Tom Curry ate him. He is an absolute force of nature, a physical freak, and mentally one of the hardest players in world rugby. And the way he played for England in the Six Nations, when loads of England fans were writing him off saying he shouldn't play, he came along and was England's best player in the Six Nations, one of the best in the Six Nations. He was in the Six Nations team of the tournament, and he went and got test starts for the Lions, 2 tries in the test series, and was one of the Lions' best players as well. So there you go, Tom Curry. Anyone else that I haven't mentioned that I should? Finn Russell, maybe, as an outside shout. Those are the 12 contenders for me to win World Player of the Year. And then I've got to now go through the process of starting to cull some of them off the list. But there you go. I've mentioned all those guys and some others. There you go. Yeah, Finn Russell would be the last one I would mention. And then that makes it 15 that I've mentioned, because Dupont and Tom Wright also got a little mention. But now I start knocking players off. I think Tommy Freeman, brilliant year, probably not. Fraser McReight, amazing year, probably not. And I do think, because of the injury this November, such a shame we're not going to see him play. He should have got nominated last year. I was leading the campaign. He should have won it last year, but maybe... Hey, look, Oxenchae could get nominated, and why not? Depending on how November goes, all possibilities are available. What I'm doing now is selecting what I would select right now. And right now, I would say Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu is behind other players because he hasn't played as many games in 2025. However, if he goes and plays massive game against France, massive game against Ireland, why not? It could all change. But right now, I'll knock Sasha out of the equation as well. Now it gets hard, doesn't it? I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me come at it another way. If I had to positively put players on the shortlist, I would go Dan Sheehan is on my list of nominees right now. Again, if I was selecting right now, wasn't the best day at the office for Dan Sheehan and his teammates at the weekend against New Zealand, was it? So that could have an impact. But right now, the way he played in the Six Nations and the Lions series, Dan Sheehan gets a nomination. The way he played in the Six Nations, Louis Biel-Bire gets a nomination. Could all change through the month of November. And Peter Steph-Toy. There's 3 nominees. So only one more person out of the remaining 5, Pablo Matera, Ardie Savia, Tyg Byrne, Tom Curry, and Maro Itoje. I'm taking out Matera from that list, so I've got 4 left. So that means 3 nominees and 1 from Tom Curry, Maro Itoje, Tyg Byrne, and Ardie Savia. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. If I had to pick one of those 4 to be the other 4th nominee right now, again, it can all change in November, I pick Tom Curry. So those would be my 4 nominees for World Player of the Year. And if I had to pick a winner right now, I pick Louis Biel-Bire. I think so far in 2025, he has been the best player on the planet. Unplayable. And I mean, that try scoring record is insane. However, it's not about the Six Nations. It's not about the Rugby Championship. It's also about these November tests where we have got some of these big guns colliding. You have got Peter Steph Toy and Dan Sheehan going to be squaring up, and Tyg Byrne for that matter. You've got Louis BLBRA going up against Peter Steph Toy as well. So, I mean, it could be Sasha getting himself on the list if he plays really, really well. Like I say, Oxenche could get the nomination that he deserved last year. Pablo Matera has been amazing. So I think what I would summarise is, as I keep saying, international rugby is in an amazing place right now. It has never, ever been better, never been more competitive, never been more compelling. And roll on the rugby this weekend. I'm going to be in the Stade de France for France against South Africa. I'm trying to go where the big games are, and it's taking a toll. All the travelling is hard work. I say hard work. Watching the games is amazing. Getting to go to these places is a privilege. And I'm trying to keep the videos coming on the channel as best that I can while I'm getting around to where the rugby is. I really appreciate your support on the channel. I really do. And thank you. Let me know your thoughts in the chat down below about the World Player of the Year, the Breakthrough Player of the Year, and roll on the weekend.